Hello, I'm going to show you how to take out an old lavender bed and transform it by planting it with grasses for late summer interest. You should begin by preparing the bed, removing any plants or weeds. Cultivating the soil to prepare for planting will make your job far easier. Do this by digging down 1 spit's depth and just turning the soil over. Finish by levelling the soil over with a rake or with your spade. I have chosen a mix of my most favourite grasses in 2-litre pots and some asters as well. I lay the pots out beforehand to just try and get an idea of height and composition, looking at how they go together, looking at grouping. It's so easy to do this beforehand, so lay them out on a pathway or on your lawn just to get an idea and a visual of what you're going to do. I recommend you try this time and time over, playing around with how they're going to look before you make a final decision on your final layout. I have chosen Stipa tenuissima, also known as ponytails, because it has this beautiful green foliage in the summer, which changes to this lovely buff, soft, sandy tones throughout the autumn. I love grasses for the fact that they sway and they move in the wind. This one in particular has such tactile qualities. You can imagine walking down the garden path and feeling it brush past your hands. Next we have Pennisetum villosum, a grass with soft feathery plumes in this gentle green which fade to lilac as autumn approaches. This is why I've also chosen asters to pick up those tones. And again, you can imagine this one catching the light, swaying in the wind and grazing past you as you walk along past the bed. One of my absolute favourites and makes a lovely cut flower too. Next we have Aster emelis, also known as the Michaelmas daisy. These tiny star-like clusters of flowers just give hints of lilac and purple to the beds and look beautiful alongside the grasses. This one is King George. And like the grasses we are using, these are all perennial plants and will all come back next year and are very easy to maintain and look after. And now for the tallest grass I have chosen for this bed, Champsia Kespatosa Golden Dew. I only wish I'd bought more of this one. Look how the seed heads move in the wind and flutter and quiver. They're such a pretty grass. I can just imagine this grass at golden hour in that beautiful autumnal light that we all know. I'm so happy I picked this one. Now this aster I picked for the very dusky, very pale lilac flower. It's lighter than the others, which are slightly darker purple, and every single one of these little buds will be one of these little star-shaped flowers. And again, they will pick up the tones in the grasses, and they will go on and on. When everybody else's beds and gardens will lack colour and interest, yours will. And now for the tangled strands of copper, of carex, comans, bronze. And lastly, this lavender erigeron, a really tiny sweet daisy which self-seeds everywhere, so I only bought one. Usually it comes in a whitey pink colour, but I thought the lilac will pick up the grasses and go really nicely with the asters. I will plant this at the front of the border, and it can cascade down the lovely stone bed and self-seed in all the cracks and into the path below. There's nothing more to do now than check that you're happy with the layout of your planting and get ready to lay them out into the bed. Remember, there's still time to change your mind. This stage is still very fluid and all part of the creative process. Plants can be moved a little here or a little there. Don't worry, nothing's permanent until they're in. When you're happy with your layout, it's time to get planting. Remove each pot one by one I find it's usually easier to start from the back to the front. The planting hole should be just a little bigger than your pot. You can always check the depth by placing the pot back in to make sure it's at ground level. Now, once you've removed the plant from the pot, you'll need to tease out the roots. Doing this enables the roots to spread out and branch off in different directions. You can use a knife, some scissors, secateurs if the plant is quite pot bound. Now lower your plant into the planting hole and fill in the hole you made with the soil around you, firming it in with your thumbs to make sure there's good contact between the base of the plant, the roots and the soil. Don't be afraid to slice firmly through roots if they're very pot bound. They will need to be sliced through in order to grow well in the ground. Remember, you can check the depth of your planting hole by just placing the whole pot into the hole to make sure that it is at the right depth. Don't worry if it's too deep, just backfill in some more of the soil and keep checking by placing the plant into it. And if it's too shallow, just dig more. When it comes to planting, you can see that I've grouped similar varieties together. This has far more impact than spreading them out throughout the border. I have also placed some of the taller, larger grasses in the middle or at the back of the border, just so that you can see the interest on the lovely smaller, shorter ones at the front. You don't have to do it this way, but this is the way I like to do it. In order to aid root development and give your plants the best chance they can have, you can use blood, fish and bone. This comes as a powder or as granules. Just sprinkle some into the planting hole before you put the plant in. Using a trowel or a knife, tickle around the bottom of the planting hole just to make sure that you don't have direct contact of the roots straight onto the blood, fish and bone. Now, I know the plants are going to get bigger, but standing back after planting I realised it did look a little bit gappy. In the border behind me I had some of the Stipa tenuissima that I planted before which didn't have much impact. So I dug them up and I added them to my planting scheme, which I think you'll agree makes the whole thing look far more full and interesting. Now to finish, water well. Keep doing this for the next few days until the plants adjust to their new environment. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to my channel. You can ask any questions in the comments below.